Let me turn my mic on. Hallelujah. All right. So before we get started with the lesson, just curious with everybody here that's been doing it maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years. What are some of the things that y'all remember about Pesach? Just the fundamentals first. Can anyone share with me what they got out of Pesach last year or whenever you guys did it? That's A. If you guys don't have nothing because y'all don't remember when you did it, maybe I need to ask how many people is the first time doing Pesach? I told you I'll run this thing a long way. We got a first timer right here. Who's that? Okay, first time. Hallelujah. So you each, he is his first time too? Okay, that's why he ran out of here. Got it. All right. So outside of you all, anyone else? Let me pause. What does the word Pesach mean? Come on, Ron. They got the mic. Remember, I know we didn't put the rules up just yet. You got that?
The Passover refers to the lamb itself.
Okay. But the word Passover means?
Crossover?
Okay. He said, "Give me." He want the mic back. Anyone else? Okay. That way you can wake up.
Yeah, I believe it reference protection.
Okay. Remember last year? Oh.
I remember.
Man. All right. So it means Pesach literally means protection. Right, it's been translated in the modern. Remember, we went over the history how they changed it over to meaning Passover, but originally it was protection and one other word.
Sparing.
To spare, to protect. Right? Y'all remember this? Yeah. All right, I tell you what. It's all coming back. We'll revisit that on the 21st after you guys did your study and celebration. We're gonna do when we close it out. We're gonna hear some of the blessings and some of you guys' study and see how it goes from there. All right. All right. Without further ado, that way. That's you. Oh, okay. All right. So without further ado, we'll have Moreh come up and give the lesson. And from there, any questions as you go through, please don't hesitate. I'm sure he'll give the rules. So just in case you think you can do 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes in your speech, there is a muter. Now I'm going to tell you, you definitely can still go on, but you'll be talking to yourself. All right. We'll get settled in, and we'll go ahead and get started.
No, I got the mic. I got this one. Mm-hmm. Here you go.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to definitely need that.
Oh, yeah.
They reduced me down to Deer Park.
At least you're hydrated. All right, we ready?
Yeah, they said we already live.
Oh, we already live? Oh, okay. Well, since he answered my first two questions, going to the next slide. That's what he do. All right, the rules. Going straight to the rules. Please keep your mic muted, except when asking or answering a question. Use the mic to speak. Now, here's the important part. There is a feature on Zoom in the meeting room where you can raise your hand if you have a question. I'm gonna read it again. There is a feature on Zoom in the meeting room where you can raise your hand if you have a question. All questions must be on the topic. You have 60 seconds to ask or answer a question. If you pass your 60-second window, your mic will be muted for you. All right? These are rule. These rules are due to the time and the recording of the lessons. These are live teachings. We must give the Moreh enough time to complete the lesson. All right. All right. So I'm just going to ask my question again, even though he asked it already. How many of you this is your first Pesach?
My first one this year.
No. Okay. All right. So this is going to be your first time with the lamb and the bitter herbs, huh? Okay. I'll make it quick so we can get to that horseradish root. All right. All right. So what we're going to do is just, go over Exodus 12. We're going to run it down and stop in between, and then we're going to give you some new stuff, something that you may not have heard before. Sometimes you may have. All right. So we ready? All right. Let's do it. Exodus 12, verse 1. And Yahuah said to Moses and Aharon in the land of Egypt of Mizraim, this month shall be for you the beginning of months, and this for you, so you know I am reading from the ESV. Okay. It shall be the first month of the year for you. Where you see moon at now? Question, what does that mean? What does it mean that this will be the beginning of months for you? No, baby. Man, give me that mic. Give me that mic. Huh? Anybody? Huh? Well, you. We ain't got no shepherd.
In layman's terms, it'll be the first month of the year.
Okay. Anybody else? Right here.
I think that mean when they say this is the beginning of the month for you, that mean that we could use this as the mark of beginning of our calendar or the beginning of our annual year, or the beginning of the month, like you said.
Okay. Anybody agree? Anybody disagree? All right. So, you sure? All right. So I guess we must define a couple of words. The first being the beginnings. What is the Hebrew word for beginnings? All right. It's a rhetorical question. Okay. Now keep in mind, for these lessons during these feast times, it's not so much as a teaching type thing. It's going to give you something so you can learn it on your own. Go try to find out and research it on your own. So the first word you want to look at is for beginnings, and then you want to look up the word for months. All right. So just keep that in mind as we go through it. All right. That should be a good starting point for you. All right. Let's keep going. Well, did we finish that? No, we didn't. How about this? What to say? We're going too fast, huh? I'll try to get it done. No. Tell the congregation of Israel that on the 10th day of this month, every man shall take a lamb according to their father's houses, a lamb for a household. Right? And if the household is too small for a lamb, then he and his nearest neighbor shall take according to the number of persons. According to what each can eat, you shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male, a year old. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats. And you shall keep it until the 14th day of this month, when the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill their lambs at twilight. And we all know in most versions is in between the evenings. All right. All right. Now we can move on. Then they shall take some of the blood and place it on the doorpost. And if you listen to Moreh Lamadyahu's lesson, you know what the doorpost and the lintel is, right? Huh? Listen, you can come up here. And the two doorposts and the lintel of the houses in which they eat it. All right. They shall eat the flesh that night, roasted on fire with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They shall eat it. So you have to remember that the lamb is supposed to be killed between the evenings and eaten that night. All right. Do not eat any of it raw or boiled in water, but roasted its head with its legs and its inner parts. And you shall let none of it remain until the morning. Anything that remains until the morning you shall burn. And you shall let none. Oh, wait a minute. In the manner you shall eat it is with your belt fastened. Who has that on? Nobody? Your belt? Anybody got the belt on?
got my sash.
Okay, all right. Your sandals on your feet. Who got that on? Huh?
Know it right here.
So-
Right from Moses himself.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know he had that. Yeah, I'm about to say the same socks too. Huh?
100% cotton.
I wasn't gonna go there. And your staff in your hand. Who got the staff?
Hold up in the mouth.
All right. And you shall eat it in haste. It is Yahuah's Passover, right? So this is not something that you just make a whole big meal out of and take your time and eat, right? All right. For I will pass through the land of Egypt, Mizraim, that night, and I will strike all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and on all the Elohims or gods of Egypt I will execute judgments. Ani Yahuah, or I am Yahuah. All right. The blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are, and when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and no plagues will befall you to destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. And this is a very important right here. This day shall be for you a what? And what's the Hebrew word for that? And you shall keep it as a feast to Yahuwah throughout your generations, as I stated, as a statute forever. You shall keep it as a feast. So, what does that mean? That it's a memorial. It is kind of right there in your face.
So you asked about a memorial. I think like it's a Zakaron remembrance, something we're supposed to keep on the front of our mind and
Right.
remember.
It's just a remembrance, right? It's not something that you're going to try to recreate, right? Go ahead, Nanama.
A remembrance.
Okay. Hallelujah. All right. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the first day you shall remove leaven out of your houses. For if anyone eats what is leavened from the first day until the seventh day, that person shall be cut off from Israel. On the first day you shall hold a holy or set apart assembly, and on the seventh day you shall hold a holy or set apart assembly. No work shall be done on those days, but with everyone needs to eat, that alone may be prepared by you. So you ain't not supposed to work, but you are supposed to cook something because you have to have that unleavened bread, all 7 days. Okay. And you shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for on this very day I brought your host of the land out of the land of Egypt. Therefore you shall observe this day throughout your generations as a statute forever.
Okay, real quick.
Yeah.
So just remember, since this is a memorial, to let you know, you're memorializing it by doing something, right? It's not a memorial by, oh yeah, it's the day, and then you go do something else. You memorialize, hey, I'm doing unleavened bread. I'm not working. I'm giving them praise. We're not going into some ritualistic things like let me go get the thing, hold it on the tent. That's not what we're realistically doing in the memorial portion of it. It's more as to give him praise on the day that he has commanded us, to let him know that we honor and recognize this day.
All right. How we doing so far? All right. All right. What's going on here? All right, let me back up. Anybody tell me what the second commandment is? I'll just put it up there. No. Anybody else? Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Anybody else?
Somebody calling in the answer.
It's not my phone. Oh my goodness. We just read it, didn't we? You shall keep the feast of unleavened bread. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, right? As I commanded you at the time appointed in the month of Abib. From the month of Abib you came out of Egypt, right? So I want everybody to understand how important this is, right? Especially with Moreh Lamadyahu giving us these new set of commandments, right? It's something that you really need to think about, considering the first commandment is always going to be about the Father, right? He's always going to be put first. But why would he have one of the most important things be the second commandment, which is getting leaven out? Something you need to start thinking about. We been going through all these lessons, that I had about you getting on the bus of preparedness. This is something that you really need to focus on, because how many people are going to get this information, right? He's preparing you for something. This is something that came out of the blue. None of us knew about this stuff. And for the second commandment to be one of the most important, which is to get all this stuff out your system, physically and spiritually, you have to start thinking about why. Why does he want this done, right? All right. All right. In the first month, from the 14th day of the month at evening, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at evening. For 7 days, no leaven is to be found in your houses. If anyone eats what is leavened, that person will be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he is a sojourner or a native of the land. All right. You shall eat nothing leavened. In all your dwelling places, you shall eat unleavened bread. Yes.
So real quick, what is leaven? Now we know what leaven is, as far as food and things like that. But for us to get this remez, or this higher understanding of leaven in our hearts and mind, can anyone share some things that's considered leaven?
Or you could have let me ask the question. The next slide.
Oh, okay. Well,
This is what he does all the time. It's all right.
To answer the question, I would think that leaven is your old ways, things that you was doing before you came into the knowledge of the word, and now you're purging yourself from that old self and you becoming a new person.
Okay. One more.
Yeah, I just wanted to answer, like you could say, what is leaven, and just talking about the remains or different understandings of it. It's definitely hamas, and that's something sour. Like the mentioned, it's definitely old, and it's definitely something that's sour, fermented, leaven, like as they say. But hamas is, like you say, something that's old for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got one more, and then Mana.
It's sin.
Point blank.
Okay, Mana.
Mana.
Shalom, Moreh. Leaven is anything that rises, like hate, anger, heat, anything that causes disruption, like within you. That's the analogy of removing leaven, not only out of your house, but out of you. Anything that has to be removed, because it is the time of renewal. So that's what leaven is, to my understanding.
Okay. That one up there.
Okay. Who?
Oh, forgiveness
Oh,
too.
go ahead, Toria. You gotta turn the mic on. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can
There
hear
you
you.
go. It could be regret, grudge, stumbling blocks, or sin.
Okay.
Okay. So I would say, yeah, those are some good answers that everyone had. But have you considered how they made leavened bread in their day? If you can, I won't go over.
Okay.
But if you consider how they made leavened bread, I want you to think about things that are old, necessarily not wrong, so to speak, or in that perspective. I mean, let's say you're growing on something. As you begin to grow, you may not do that old thing you used to do, or even in the walk. If you did something in the walk that you got a new revelation, right? You're going to leave that and move to the new revelation, versus taking that old and mixing it with the new, then creating something that can be deemed as being wrong. Is everyone with me so far? So I'll stop there because I had a lot more to talk about. We'll do it on the 21st.
You sure you done?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. No, he ain't done. So we're gonna start with unleavened bread, since he started with leaven. All right. So it's H4686. What is that?
Matzah.
It's supposed to be a sweet cake, right? Refers to a type of flatbread made without leavening agent. All right. What we should be having tonight. All right. All right. All right. Now, for practical uses, for practical reasons, I should say, unleavened bread was made for meals prepared in a hurry, right? Because there was no need for time for leaven to work. Now, I want everybody to keep this in mind as we go through, if he don't already tell you before we get there. All right. All right. All right, let's keep going. Verse 21. Then Moses called all the elders of Israel and said to them, go and select lambs for yourselves according to your clans, and kill the Passover lamb. Take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and touch the lintel and the two doorposts with the blood that is in the basin. None of you shall go out of the door of his house until the morning. For Yahuwah will pass through to strike the Egyptians, and when he sees the blood on the lintel and on the two doorposts, Yahuwah will pass over the door and will not allow the destroyer to enter your houses to strike you. You shall observe this rite as a statute for you and for your sons forever. And when you come to the land that Yahuwah will give you, as he has promised, you shall keep this service. And when your children say to you, what do you mean by this service? You shall say, it is the sacrifice of Yahuwah's Passover, for he has passed over the houses of the people of Israel in Egypt. And when he struck the Egyptians, but spared over the houses, and the people bowed their heads and worshiped. Then the people of Israel went and did so as Yahuwah had commanded Moses and Aharon, so they did. So, 10th plague. At midnight, Yahuwah struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sat on his throne, to the firstborn of the captive who was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of the livestock. And the Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where someone was not dead. Then he summoned Moses and Aaron by night and said, up, go out from among my people, both you and the people of Israel, and go serve Yahuwah as you have said. Take your flocks and your herds as you have said, and be gone, and bless me also. All right. So the Egyptians were urging with the people to send them out of the land in haste, for they said, we shall all be dead. So the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading bowls being bound up in their cloaks on their shoulders. The people of Israel had also done as Moses told them, for they had asked the Egyptians for silver and gold, jewelry, and clothing. And Yahuwah had given the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they let them have what they asked. Thus they plundered the Egyptians. And the people of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, besides women and children. A mixed multitude also went up with them, and very much livestock, both flocks and herds. And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough that they had brought out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt and could not wait, nor had they prepared any provisions for themselves. The time that the people of Israel lived in Egypt was 430 years. At the end of 430 years, on that very day, all the hosts of Yahuwah went out from the land of Egypt. It was a night of watching by Yahuwah to bring them out of the land of Egypt. So this same night is a night of watching kept to Yahuwah by all the people of Israel throughout their generations. 43, and Yahuwah said to Moses and Aaron, this is the statute of the Passover. No foreigner shall eat of it. All right. But every slave or servant that is bought for money may eat of it after have circumcised him. No foreigner or hired worker may eat of it. Now, why is that? Why no foreigner or hired worker?
It's set apart.
Oh, my goodness. Who is the security here to get this man's mic out? All right. Right? Because it's a set apart convocation to Yahuwah, right? This is his Passover. It's not ours, right? All right, my goodness. It shall be eaten in one house. You shall not take any of the flesh outside of the house. You shall not break any of its bones. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. If a stranger shall sojourn with you and will keep the Passover to Yahuwah, let all his males be circumcised. Then he may come near and keep it. He shall be as a native of the land. But no uncircumcised person shall eat of it. There shall be one law for the native, for the stranger, and for the stranger who sojourns among you. All the people of Israel did just as Yahuwah commanded Moses and Aharon. And on that very day, Yahuwah brought the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their host. All right. So we got that, right? We got the gist of that. All right. Quick question. In this period, all right, in this period of time that we're reading, what type of grain was used to make the flour for unleavened bread? Get throw something at you. Let me say it again. In this time period that we are reading, what type of flour was used during this specific time what type of grain was used to make the flour during this specific time? If you know the answer, you better answer. Do you know the answer?
I do.
No, let somebody else who don't know the answer say it. I'm hearing a whole bunch of stuff. You say what now? Barley. Okay. Anybody agree? Anybody disagree? You be the second ones to barley? Huh? Oh yeah, you gotta turn your mic on.
I'd also say barley.
You also say barley. All right. Anybody else? So we all in agreement it's barley. Huh?
Is it wheat? Emer wheat?
Hey, man. Yeah, I did say that, didn't I? All right. Let's read this real quick. Oh, no, Mana, go ahead.
Moreh, I have a question. Couldn't it also be like spelt flour? That's like barley flour, or?
You think barley and spelt the same thing?
Well, yeah.
They're in the family.
Oh, is that? Right. Let's see. All right. Let's read Exodus 9:27-21. All right. Start at 27 verse. Then Pharaoh sent and called Moses and Aharon and said to them, "This time I have sinned, Yahuwah. This time I have sinned. Yahuwah is in the right, and I and my people are in the wrong. Plead with Yahuwah, for there has been enough of Elohim's thunder and hail. I will let you go, and you shall stay no longer." And Moses said to him, "As soon as I have gone out of the city, I will stretch out my hands to Yahuwah. The thunder will cease, and there will be no more hail, so that you may know that the earth is Yahuwah's. But as for you and your servants, I know that you do not fear Yahuwah Elohim." And let's read this right here. What does that say? The flax and the barley were struck down, for the barley was in the ear and the flax was in the bud. So the word for struck there is nakah, right? Which means to destroy. So what is that saying? He is saying the flax and the barley was what? Destroyed. So do we still think it was barley? Okay. Let's read the next one. All right. But the wheat and the emmer, for they are for the wheat and the emmer. So you have wheat here. You have hita, which is a generic type of wheat, right? And for the emmer, you have kasimit, which is a type of wheat that is synonymous with the spelt plant. So Nanamana was right, all right? They were not struck down, for they are late in coming up, all right? All right. So I have here, so in the north of Egypt, the barley ripens and the flax blossoms about the middle of February, or at the latest early in March. And both are gathered in before April when the wheat harvest begins. So just as the flax and the barley are being taken out by the Father, the wheat is coming in. Okay? Just a little fun fact for you. All right. So continuing on, we have the H3698, which is the Kasimith, right? It's the emmer wheat, i.e. a grain plant with lax spikes and spikelets containing 2 kernels, okay? So this type of wheat is a hulled wheat, all right? This is a type of on wheat, you can see right here, that has the bristle-like or hair-like appendages on the flowering plants. They call these cereals or grasses, right? So like other types of grains, there is a wild and a domestic type of this wheat. The principal difference between the wild and the domestic is that the ripened seed head of the wild plant shatters and scatters the seed onto the ground. Keep that in mind. While in the domestic emmer of the seed head remains intact, thus making it easier for humans to harvest the grain. Now, along with incorn wheat, emmer was one of the first crops domesticated in the Near East. It was widely cultivated in the ancient world, but is now a relic crop in the mountainous regions of Europe and Asia. Emmer is considered a type of pharaoh food, especially in Italy. You can see that up here, but I have it right here if you want to look at it sometime today, okay? It's the same thing. Okay, pass it around. You could have did this lesson.
Hey, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
And you asked about matzah, and I think I can't remember what book it was, but upon my studies one time, I seen it said that matzah is cornbread. So I just want to ask, is matzah cornbread?
Yeah, that's yeah, that ain't got nothing to do with what we doing. Yeah, it's not cornbread. No. They called everything corn. All the grains were called corn. All right. Yeah, it wasn't corn on the cob. It was mostly wheat and barley and flax. That's what it was. Any other questions? All right. All right, so for homework, all right, number one, I want you to find out what type of emmer wheat was used, either wild or domestic. Hint, hint, look to your left and figure it out. Look up the threshing floor and how it relates to the wheat. Hint, hint, look to the left. You should be able to tell that as well. And then I want you all to look up how all of this relates to you. Okay? I ain't see nobody write it down, so I guess you ain't. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. H4683 again, what's matzah, right? Now, this also means a quarrel, contention, debate, or strife. All right? So, question: what types of things would you or someone else consider as strife or contention in this context? That's an open-ended question, huh? No.
Could I be considered having strife and contention with your brethren?
Okay. Maybe. Anybody else agree? Disagree? Raise your hand. I see.
Backbiting.
Okay. Anyone else? Toria, you ain't got nothing?
Division.
Okay.
Discord.
Nanamana?
Disobedience and stiff neck.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at okay.
So I got a question. If leaven was chametz or tzior, and this says matzah, which is one of the words for unleavened, why does it mean quarrel and contention?
They don't remember the lesson from last year. I was okay. Let's look at Proverbs 13 and 10, right? All right. And we're going to look at Isaiah 58 and 4. So, by insolence comes nothing but strife or bitterness. But with those who take advice is wisdom, right? In Isaiah 58 and 4, behold, you fast only to quarrel, which is a heated argument or disagreement, and to fight and to hit with a wicked fist. Fasting like yours this day will not make your voice to be heard on high. What do you get out of that? Before I give you the answer. Yeah, take your time to read it again.
Is it that the Father, he desires us to get these things out of our system and not to just have this mentality of, oh, I want to be right, or I want to win the argument, or I want to, tell them, show them, but to have this mentality of love for the brethren and to uplift one another instead of just to win the argument or win a debate.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, hallelujah. Well, kind of remind me of a thought I just had yesterday. I'm telling somebody, what if I was humble? What if you was humble? What if we was humble? What if everybody was humble? I think that's kind of where Father y'all want. I mean, everything would change.
Okay. Not a mana.
Slicha Moreh, it just reminds me that all of this is leaven. This is all, leaven.
But this is matzah, though. This is unleavened. Hmm?
but it's still like, behold, to quarrel. That's
What does it say right there? What is the quarrel?
to argue, to fight, to have a heated argument or
Okay.
disagreement, and to fight and to hit with a wicked fist. Fasting like yours this day will not make your voice to be heard on high. So
All right.
All right. Quick thought though, is because he says matzah here. I'm not going to go over the answer that he's had, but I want you guys to consider something. If you say chametz and sio or something that's added to the unleavened, right? So if you think about something that's unleavened and it doesn't have anything, could you be quarreling and fighting because you don't have an understanding? You have nothing. You're not leavened. It's like someone that say they're brand new, right? And so they're in this matzah state and they're arguing and quarreling over something that they don't even have an understanding about.
That's where the bitterness comes in. Go ahead, Moreh.
Oh, Kim.
Tell Doe text it.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Toda.
Go ahead, Moreh, though.
Sometimes it seems like we overlook the spiritual component and lining ourselves up with the characteristic of the Most High, and being Kodesh and set apart. Even with these metaphorical and analytical points that's being brought out during this time of observance and moralizing, we're supposed to be moving towards a place of Kodesh, being set apart, or holy. And that's what this is all about. Not so much focusing on the necessary items or symbolically, but these symbols are supposed to be for us. We're supposed to be that unleavened bread. We're supposed to be what that unleavened bread represents, to the rest of the world, and allowing our light to shine. That's all I have to say at this moment.
Hallelujah. He said it sounded like you got Boost Mobile. All right. How about this? The Father does not respond to bitterness and quarreling positively, right? Because it is superficial and authentic. It will lead to divisions in community and exploitative behavior towards underlings. You can pass this on to your children, right? Now, as well as self-absorption, right? Just like in Isaiah 58:4, Elohim's idea of fasting extended far beyond public expression of mourning. So goes the same for the feast days. This isn't for show, all right? This isn't about what you think about it. That's why this is a memorial, right? That has to be kept throughout your generations. All right? So the question would be, are you doing this for you? You doing this memorial for you, or are you doing this for the Father? Right? All right. Okay. All right. So, Moreh already talked about it. You have the H7603, which is Seor, all right, which is barm or a yeast cake made by fermentation. It's leaven. All right. And you have come on. So it says leavened bread or leavened dough. Dough refers to dough or bread that has been leavened. Now, this next part is something that Moreh talked about last year. Leavened bread is forbidden during the Passover feast, and the feast of unleavened bread. There is a penalty of being cut off from the people of Israel if something is leavened is consumed during these times. Now, the nomadic ancestors of the Hebrews, like the Bedouin of today, probably made their bread without leaven, but leaven came to play a great part in their bread making, their law and ritual, and their religious teaching. Now, you want to learn more about this, you'll look up the Bedouin and the Bedouin states. All right. So, with that said, Caleb, you ready? All right. No, he is not going to sing a song. We're going to watch a video. Okay. And, because this is YouTube, going to have to put that Fair Use Act up there. All right. Now, for this first video, I want you to watch how the Bedouins make their bread, but more importantly, I want you to listen to what he's saying and what the purpose of this type of bread was used for. All right. See if you see any similarities. No. Please don't. Just listen.
For us, it's making regak, which is a traditional Emirati or Bedouin bread. This particular bread was really important for traveling. It keeps for weeks, up to a month if you keep it well. So if you're traveling across the desert, better dates, better regak, you've got enough food to keep you going. You'll also notice once it's spread out, you'll scrape the top off. That's the stuff that's not going to cook through properly. That's generally discarded, okay, but not thrown away. What a Bedouin man would do is he would take that and he would feed it to his camels. The meaning of regak is actually chips, or very thin and crispy is what regak quite literally means. The ingredients in regak is wheat, water, and salt. That is all that goes into it. It is actually as simple as that.
Okay, so what did we learn from that? Anybody before I give you the answers? I can't, it's a lot of people in the alley. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead.
Sika Moreh, that it's wheat, water, and salt, and that they scrape off the top of it, and nothing goes to waste, and he gives it to the animals so the animals can have something to eat, and that it can last a long time, as the Bedouin is traveling.
Hallelujah. You put your hand down. Yeah. Okay. All right. Hey, click on it, Caleb. You need to mess up my. Oh, there you go. Okay, so, all right. So the bread was important for traveling. It keeps for weeks, especially when traveling in the desert. Once it starts cooking, the top is scraped off. Now, this is called top cropping or skimming. Okay, and we'll get into that in a moment. But does any of that sound familiar? Huh? All right. All right. Now, this next video I want you to watch. We're going to turn the sound off. I just want you to see how fast the bread is actually being made. Okay. Now, remember, when you're watching it, for practical reasons, unleavened bread was made for meals prepared in a hurry because it did not need time for the leaven to work. All right. All right. And because it's YouTube again, let's give that a couple seconds. They can pause and read it. All right, Caleb. Remember to mute the sound. There you go. Count them seconds. See how fast that takes. I say bam. I say bam. Bigly bam. Bam again. Oh. Well, I had to give a little bit of sound effects. Man. Uh-huh. One. Black, blue. Bye-bye. All right. Y'all count them seconds? How many seconds was that? Mm-hmm. Does it seem like that's be something your ancestors would have done back then? Of course. All right. And it's done. All right. You got something to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say so when those that are taking a trip over to Israel, there's a place in the mall that they still do that today.
Mm-hmm.
And it tastes really good. But the difference is the Arabs that do it there, they add spices and herbs to it. And they roll it up and they put, food and stuff in it. But it's really fast and it tastes really good. Our first time that we had it, we were in Tel Arad, and it was really good. Then in the Tanya, when they made it, it was, I was surprised. They make it really fast. They'll do it right there while you're standing there. Make it for you.
All right, hallelujah. Click it again. There. All right, so again we have Seor, right? And it's barm, right? Can anyone tell me? No. Can anybody besides Moreh tell me the definition of barm? Now, he went over this a little bit last year. Does anybody remember the definition? Please do not speak all at once.
Is it the foam that bubbles up like during the fermentation process, like when you're making wines or beer?
Okay.
Something like that.
Anybody else? Anybody agree with him? Disagree?
Yes, I agree. It's fermentation.
Okay. 2 or 3? All right. Yeah, so barm is the foam or the scum formed on the top of the fermenting liquid, such as beer, wine, or feedstock for spirits or industrial ethanol distillation. All right. It is used to leaven bread or set up fermentation in a new batch of liquor. Barm as a leaven has also been made from ground millet, combined with must of wine tubs, and is sometimes used in English baking as a synonym for natural leaven, such as sourdough. Now, various cultures derived from barm became ancestral to most forms of brewer's yeast and baker's yeast currently on the market. So, with that, I have another question. What is scum? It's a new one. Yeah, it's a new one. What is scum? Oh, come on now. Huh? Some of y'all seasoned up in here, right? Y'all know what scum is? Oh, my goodness. Go ahead, Nana. No, let her answer.
Moreh, would it be like a froth, like off the top, like it would be like off the top of beer? It would be like the froth of it.
That look like that's what it says up top. But I'm asking, what is the scum?
Well,
I'm
just thinking of it logically. I mean, wouldn't that be like this? If that is okay.
All right, it's a layer of dirt or froth on the surface of a liquid, right? Now, what else could it be? Oh my goodness. Okay, let me rephrase the question. What could it mean for you as a person? You always said it earlier. Say it again, because I don't think they what you had said. You scum. Right. You scum. All right. It can mean worthless or contemptible, despicable, mean, vile, pitiful, trifling person. We don't have anybody in here like that today, do we? Oh, somebody cleared their throat. Oh, I thought we was all good up in here. All right. All right. Keep this stuff in mind, and we'll revisit it shortly. All right. All right. So now that we got that, we know what the scum is. What is feedstock for spirits? This is where we're going to get into some good stuff. Take a guess. I can't, you across the street. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I was thinking it's something to do with alcohol.
Something to do.
Alcohol bring that spirit out.
Right. Go ahead.
I think like feeding stock for spirits, it seems like a type of starter, like how they have like yeast that starts out another batch of yeast, like a starter for liquids, like a.
I see that phone in your hand, Aki. You cheating on test day. I see what you doing. A raw material to supply or fuel a machine or an industrial process, right? It's a raw material also known as a feedstock. Unprocessed material or primary commodity is a base material that is used to produce goods, finished products, energy, or immediate materials that are feedstock for the future finished product. All right. All right, so on the surface, we can see that this is a raw material that feeds alcohol or what is called the spirit. All right. We will see how this relates to us spiritually. All right. But for right now, just understand, don't let your past be a feedstock for these different types of ruachs or winds that try to distract you from the Father. All All right. How we doing so far? All right. Where you been, stranger? Okay. Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. So, a quick question: why is alcohol called a spirit? I can't. I can't hear you. You're gonna need that mic again.
Is it because when you drink it, you act under the influence of something?
Does that happen when you every time you drink it?
If you go too far.
Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead, Nanamana.
Moreh, could it be because it's releasing something?
Okay.
It's
Anybody
releasing.
disagree?
It's releasing, a possible ruach.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, according to Google,
oh my goodness,
it says
that is 20 points off. 20 points off. This is what Google told me. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
It says that a spirit is a reference to alcohol. It stems from Middle Eastern alchemy.
Okay. Anybody else? Well, I'll tell you about these cheaters. Alchemists in the Middle East were the first to master distillation, right?
I'm gonna kind of follow up what he was saying.
Uh-huh.
To me, if I think about it being a spirit, I would say like some type of potion of invocation or something.
There you go. They weren't only trying to find gold either. They were also trying to make medical elixirs. To do so, they would distill liquid, collect the vapor, and gather the spirit, right? They came off the material. So it needs for you to ask yourself, where did they get this type of idea from, right? And when you ask that question, go to Job 36 and 27, okay? All y'all got your phones out, go ahead and go. This vapor given off and collected during the alchemical process, as with the distillation of alcohol, was called a spirit of the original material. Hence, it is used in extracting essences for essential oils and the sterilization of medical instruments. Y'all can put your phones away. All right. All right. Next question. I just put it up there though, but no. Well, first of all, let me just say this: it does go a lot deeper with the Arabic word al-kul, right? But that word means body-eating spirit. All right, but it also goes into a little something deeper because kul is also it's a type of cosmetic that women used to put around their eyes, make the dark circles mascara. All right, that's another lesson. All right, so we can probably get into that too. Don't let distractions get you down series that we're gonna finish up. All right, yeast, which is what we were all here for anyway, for the leaven, right? Yeast is made of a single cell organism called Saccharomyces cerevisiae, right? It's a fungus. This organism multiplies rapidly when fed sugar in moist environments. It is mostly sold as dry, dormant granules known as active, instant, or rapid rise yeast. All right. Now, a little yeast in your body is good for you. Too much can cause infections and other health problems. If you take antibiotics too often or use oral birth control, your body might start to grow too much yeast. This often leads to gas, bloating, mouth sores, bad breath, and a coating on your tongue or itchy rashes. So this whole leaven thing is starting to get bad, right? What you say? Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. So remember earlier I talked about top cropping or skimming, right? All right. So top cropping is to prevent the formation of unwanted flavors and harmful compounds. Just like Moreh said last year, these are the things that we want to get rid of in our houses and from inside of us before the night falls. All right. All right. So, question: what should be some of the things that you're top cropping or skimming as it relates to this? Huh? What? Huh? No, you get a Yosef first. Yeah, get a Yosef first. Huh?
I thought I had the answer. I don't have it now.
Go ahead, Daya. Yeah, he's
I think some of the things we should be top cropping or skimming is, I think, obviously like bad behaviors or traits or anything, behaviors, attributes that's not bad. I mean, that's bad. But also, I think the main thing is like what Mashiach is saying when he say, "Beware the leaven of the Pharisees," hypocrisy. So hypocrisy is something to be top cropping or skimming. That's leaven, but also it's something to just continually work on removing. Not being a hypocrite, I guess.
Okay, y'all can do like him. This isn't a trick question. I'm just asking, what's some of the things that you need to get out?
Well, to be in agreement with the Ak here that the leaven, things not of Yah. You should be continually looking within and identifying these things as you prepare and ready yourself.
Okay, good. Anybody else? This is your opinion. Go ahead now, man. Oh, no.
So real quick, before you get going now, Mana, I want us to also consider when you start getting new information, unless the Father gave it to you, right? and I got to use that word loosely because sometimes everybody says it was Yah that gave it to me. Oh, it was him.
Sure.
That gave it, right? So, but the thing is, some things
it's going down
that you might need to keep at a place of cropping until you get the understanding of something, right? Because if you got bad information, you might want to scrape that off.
Get that off the top,
because
right
if
there.
not, it becomes a part of you, right? So when you hear something and it's specifically in Scripture, okay, hallelujah. But if you hear something, someone's giving you an interpretation of what they believe it is, then you might want to see if you might want to crop this thing, get some more information before you start believing it. Okay? All right, Namani had something?
Salika Moreh, I wanna also concur with what you said. Also, wouldn't that also be like testing all things before we start to like look into whatever the Father tells us, to just test all things before we start to say this, or Abba told me to say this, or Abba told me to say that, to test it and make sure that it is the words that Abba Yahuah has told us. Also, Moreh Kanan, Kanan, how about this holding on to the past and not letting things go? That's a good question.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Okay, the short and simple, I say like perspective for me is like a renewal process. I mean,
that's it. This
yeah. Short.
Period. Okay, renewing process. All right, get a Malachi. Okay, you get Malachi.
Forms of negativity, whether ideas, thoughts, or emotions, anything that's going to make you walk contrary to Yah.
Okay. All right, give it to Malachi.
I see your last slide, Aki. You said fungi is yeast. How mushrooms are yeast?
You said what?
Mushrooms. You said that they're yeast. Fungus. That's yeast.
But this is yeast, not talking about mushrooms. It's a type of fungus. Okay. Okay. All right. So we got somebody in the back.
I would say the way we think, because when we think contrary to the word, then we lean to our own understanding.
Is that what you do? You think of y'all all the time?
Got Yahuah on my mind.
All right. Well, think about this. All right. Let's look at boiled scum. All right. We come back to scum now. When your wort comes to a boil, the brown scum, that stuff that flecks, your foam is composed of congratulated proteins and polyphenols, right? They come from the hulks, or the malt, and from the hops. And in the case of spice beer, is any other plant material added to the boil. Now, this type of scum is insoluble, right? Although prolonged boiling can break it down somewhat, left alone, it will end up at the bottom of the kettle with the rest of the trub or the turb, hot break, cold break, hop debris, and be left behind in the kettle. So basically, all the stuff that settles to the bottom, right? So thinking about this spiritually, like you were saying, it could be your past, it could be hurt, pain, the things that we can't let go of, right? Or the things that tear you away from the Father. Any questions on that? We're going somewhere with this. We're almost done. All right, so this next video here, it's already muted. Okay, so this is just an example of someone top cropping or skimming. So keep in mind all this stuff. Look at this stuff spiritual. Look at all this stuff you got to get rid of. Right? Look at all that hurt that he dumping in there. All those emotions he getting rid of. But you see how it's not easy? You see how that stuff comes back? And you got to keep doing it, right? You got to keep doing it until you get that stuff out, right? Now you're starting to see why that second commandment is so important? Just from this visual? All right.
But what if the leaven is a spouse or family member in your home, the house, part of your family?
Hey, look, now you. Go ahead,
Now, just so I'm clear, you're saying if it's a family member that's living in your house, is this family member an adult or is it children? Because if it's children, for an example, then you raise them in which they should go. If it's an adult that's living in a house and you set a standard, as Joshua talked about, as for me in my house, this is what we're going to do. So you don't want that violation within your home, then you have to, share with them. There's a place that they might want to consider since you're trying to keep your home set apart.
Yes, sir. More specifically, a spouse, Moreh.
Oh man, listen, there's paperwork that you can do. Oh, okay, no, all right, no. So basically, how it normally works. So let's just say it's you said like a spouse. Then Corinthians talks a little bit about hopefully that your ways can win your spouse over. But through the righteous acts that you do and the blessing that the Father gives, the objective hopefully is for them to see the light and walk it out from there. But also talks about dealing with your Isha or your wife according to knowledge. So the main thing is to educate her and make her a part of your righteous acts in hopes that she can see this and walk with you.
Yes, sir.
All right, Hallelujah. Any other questions?
Not Ezra 10.
No.
Oh, come on now.
I hope he didn't hear that. I hope he didn't hear that. So what does all this mean for me spiritually? So when you don't skim off the barm, in this case, you feed the leaven that keeps these spirits alive and well within you, right? So think about it. What is yeast, right? Nothing but a microscopic fungus that if you let it sit in an environment where it can thrive, that fungus will spread and grow and grow. So spiritually, this becomes a breeding ground for all those types of winds and spirits that are inside of you. Just like when it comes to feedstocks, spiritually speaking, this is a material that is feeding or supplying that spirit that is inside of you. That's why I asked you before, does it always mean just by drinking something is that going to start something? But it has to do something with doing it in moderation, right? All right. So 1 Corinthians 5:7. Cleanse out the old leaven, which is the past, that you may be a renewed lump, as you really are unleavened. For Mashiach, our Passover lamb, has been sacrificed. All right. All right. All right. So when you don't get rid of this leaven, you basically hold on to the things of your past that bind you, right? Now, we've talked about this before. When you hold on to something you should be letting go of, you may tuck it away, but just like the barm, it can settle at the bottom of something, right? All right. Look at this. Lamentations 1:20. Look, O Yahuwah, for I am in distress. My stomach churns. My heart is wrong within me, because I have been very rebellious. In the street the sword bereaves, in the house it is like death. Hmm? So the word for churn there is what? What does that say? You see that? It's to boil up or hence to ferment, right? So it comes all the way back full circle, right? So when you're churning something, you're actually agitating, right? You're stirring it up, you're agitating it. And as form of a liquid, there it goes again. It's boiling up, it's foaming, it's becoming a froth, right? All right. So in conclusion, we found out that, yeah, we're getting ready to close. We found out that when leaving Egypt, the grain used was emmer wheat, right? So everybody can go out and try to find the Pharaoh for next year, right? Instead of barley. All right. We learned that barm is leaven that is foam or scum that rises to the top of a liquid. We now understand that if we continue to let these things grow and settle at the bottom of our hearts and our minds, that eventually something or someone will cause all of that scum to rise back to the top. All right. No, he's not stirring up a gift. That's not the gift you want to stir up now. We have to make a habit of identifying this debris and practice top cropping or skimming this stuff off in order to rid us of the past things that bind us. And lastly, that's why leaven is so important to get rid of. If you leave it unattended, it will become difficult to get rid of for good. All right. It's not impossible, but how many chances do you think the Father will give you before you miss that bus that has been prepared for you to get on? Any questions? Comments, concerns?
Slika Moreh, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Like, I ask a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm. I have not noticed at all, Akuchi. Not at all.
Moreh, according to 1 Corinthians 14, 34 through 35, it says that married women in the assembly should be quiet and ask their questions at home, right? But
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I'm not married. So I ask questions because my mind is focused on the Most High and drawing close to Him. And this is how I learn. So I'm not concerned about, things of the world. A married woman is concerned about matters of the world, and how to please her husband. But I'm concerned about matters of the Most High. So I ask questions in order to learn and grow, to be closer to Him. So is it okay for me to ask questions?
Okay. So really fast, sure, you can ask questions. That's the whole point of growing and learning. And the context of a woman being silent was what was happening at that time. So, I mean, it's out of the scope of this lesson here. But at the end of the day, it's really about what was happening during that time period that they needed them to be silent in the assemblies. But the Moreh has already shared that you're more than welcome to ask questions. It's for growing and learning and building towards Yahuah.
Oh, okay, because someone commented that I should be quiet in reference to 1 Corinthians 14, 34, 35. So
All right, so let's go back to what matzah meant with quarreling and contention, huh? I guess somebody missed that slide. Is that what happened?
I guess so, Moreh. But you know what? I'm gonna,
All right. It's all
ask
good.
my questions.
But we know you can ask questions.
Toda.
Everybody has to understand. Each year we do something like this is to gain more knowledge, right? To become more efficient in what the Father wants you to do, right? There's nothing wrong with asking questions, right? Especially on these days. Okay. That's for anybody. It's man or a woman. Okay.
Toda, Moreh.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Let's get on out of here and close. If all hearts and minds are clear, who is it? Vic? All right. Yeah. So once we get done, we're gonna close it off for YouTube, right? And then keep it on Zoom. You can stay on Zoom.